Good evening, good evening everyone. Magdalena Eriksson striding out across the turf in Gothenburg with the sun shining, a steely look on her face, leading Chelsea out for the Women's Champions League final. Chelsea the first club to have both men's and women's team in their respective Champions League finals. Chelsea arriving here fresh from a terrific title success 7 days ago and looking to win this competition for the first time. A team led by the bombastic motivator in Emma Hayes, whose cleverly planned rise to the top of the game has seen Chelsea as a club develop from amateur to professional to elite. And now they have the chance to prove it. Fran Kirby, Sam Kerr, Pernilla Harder, the best and most expensive players of their generation, all know that it's time to finish the job. But it's not going to be a walk in the park. Barcelona stand in their way. And although there will be a new name on the trophy no matter what happens here tonight, Barcelona have been at this occasion before. Tony Duggan was in the team when they suffered heartbreak against Lyon in Budapest in 2019. They were well beaten on the day, but Barcelona see this as a chance to make up for that too. They start with one change from the side that managed to negotiate a semi-final second leg win over PSG. Chelsea have the same team that got over the line against Bayern Munich in the semi-final second leg against Bayern Munich at Kings Meadow. And Catherine Berger is their goalkeeper. The back four, Jess Carter at right back, Bright, Eriksson and Charles as the back four. Lloyd Poles, Sophie Ingle and G in midfield, with Kirby and Kerr surrounding Harder in attack. For Barcelona, the one change is at centre-half, where Pereira is suspended. Hamraoui comes in alongside Leon in the centre-half position. And they start with Panos in goal, Torrejon at right-back, Hamraoui, Leon, Wahabi, that's the back four, Bonmati, Guyaro, Putelas, midfield three, and then Carolina, Graham Hansen, Jenny Hermoso and Lika Martens are the three-pronged attack. The referee is the German, Raim Hussein, and VAR is in operation. We had a bit of a VAR controversy yesterday with the men in the FA Cup final. Not sure we'll get one today, but you never know. Chelsea in their new psychedelic blue squares and swirls with big thick yellow trim, and Barcelona in pink tops with turquoise shorts, turquoise socks. We're just going through the formalities. Alongside me, the Lionesses' most capped player, Farrah Williams, and Sheffield United forward Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, who's dashed here from a FA Cup tie today. Went to extra time and everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It was a bit of a close one.
So you can choose.
Farrah, what's your advice to those Chelsea players as this game kicks off? What do they mean to make sure they do in the first few minutes?
I think they have to feel the game out in those first 5 minutes of the game. I think it'll be a nervous game for both teams. As you mentioned before, either team's going to make history tonight and be, for the first time, one of their names are going to go on the trophy. So I think this first 5-10 minute period is really important to stay focused, stay in the game, try and get the nerves out of them, and then I think go into the game from there.
Obviously going to a Champions League final is always going to be a fantastic occasion, lots of pressure, but is there less pressure because there's no one in the ground?
Yeah, potentially. I think we've seen it within the Premier League and the Women's Super League as well. Different teams react very differently to it. For some, it's maybe a bit of a release and they feel like they can make mistakes without judgment, whereas other teams have maybe needed that crowd to get behind them at times. But I think, Chelsea will cope just fine. As we said earlier about the Wolfsburg match, that was one where they had to ride the luck at times, but they stayed in the game, and that's so important.
Emma Hayes' team in a huddle away to our right hand side. They'll attack the goal to our left in the first 45 minutes. They break from that huddle, and Catherine Berger, who's been so important in goal for them this season, made a terrific save against Manchester City, made 2 penalty saves in the last 16 game against Atletico Madrid, has been vital to their success in this tournament. And before we start, on the biggest stage of all, 22 players take a knee, a defiant pledge, a show of solidarity, echoing the message that there is no room for racism. And then our German referee gets us off and underway. The men suffered disappointment yesterday. Can Chelsea's women conquer Europe tonight? It's winner takes all in Gothenburg. The Women's Champions League final is live on TalkSport. and it's really important that Chelsea make a good, quick start to the game, but they've lost the ball on halfway, and Lieke Mertens is racing down the left for Barcelona towards the edge of the area, getting to the edge of the box, getting onto a right foot and shooting and hitting the crossbar. Inside the first 30 seconds of the game, Barcelona have set their stall out. The ball's still not clear. Kirby trying to get it back, takes a deflection, goes in over the top of the goalkeeper, and Barcelona are in front. What a terrible start for Chelsea. No chance for Anne-Catherine Berger, who was grappling at thin air right from the off. First of all, the crossbar was rattled by Martins, cutting it on a right foot and sending the ball towards the far edge of the goal. It rattled out, came back into midfield, was recycled by Graham Hansen. Kirby hit it against their own player, Leupolz, who scored after 2 minutes of the second leg of the Bayern Munich game. And I think Kirby onto Leupolz has just sent the ball over the top of the goalkeeper. And Melanie Leupolz will be credited with an own goal she knew absolutely nothing about. Farrell Williams.
Yeah, this isn't the start that Chelsea would have wanted. I mentioned just before they kicked off that these first 5 minutes of the game and how important they were. Chelsea looked a little bit nervous for me, a little bit shaky. I think the mistake from Charles on the halfway line allowed Barca to go on the counter-attack, and then they created problems within the box. I mean, as you mentioned, Lopez will know nothing about the own goal that she scored, but the good thing about it is Chelsea have time, to get themselves back into this game.
That's the worst possible start that Emma Hayes' team could have encountered, as the counter-attack comes and Chelsea try to push Barcelona back, and Kerr goes down the right, sends the ball centrally, it goes out for a corner. Chelsea seem to be in an awful rush very quickly to try and get back on level terms, and G quickly takes a corner. It's thundered in by Jess Carter, comes through on the edge of the box towards Pernilla Harder, and somehow it goes over the top of the crossbar.
Well, it's a fantastic chance. What a ball in that is. Behind, the back four gets stuck in harder. She just can't keep it down. I think it actually bounces onto the turf as she touches it in the air and bounces back up. I think it might have been a save, actually. I think Chelsea are unlucky not to get a corner there.
Well, they certainly asked for a corner. Didn't quite come their way. Hermoso has it on the halfway line, sends it back into midfield. It's sent long out towards the right, where it's collected by Chelsea once more. Here's G in the centre circle. Magdalena Eriksson just in front of the centre circle inside her own half. G under pressure and was being pressed by Bonmati, and the ball is lost very quickly and won in midfield by Hamraoui, and it goes to this right hand side. Caroline Graham Hansen tries to escape, can't do so, then wins the ball back, plays it centrally, collected by Putellas. Onto Hermoso, left-footed drive towards the far corner from the edge of the box on the spin, and it's about a yard wide of the left-hand upright. It's a blistering start, Farah. This pace can't continue, surely.
No, and I don't think it will. I think the game started a little bit erratic from both teams. I think there's been turnovers in possession. I think the teams will settle. I said the first 5 minutes will be important for both teams, and none more so than Chelsea. But as I mentioned, they need to settle into this game, and I'm sure that they can build and get this goal back. The mistake here from
Catherine Berger's given the ball away as she's tried to play out. It's come back to the edge of the area. She spilt it as she tried to save the shot from Bonmati, and it goes over the top of the crossbar, and it's out and away for a corner to Barcelona. It's 1-0 to Barcelona. We've played an unbelievable 4 minutes here.
The turnover of possession is really surprising for me. We're so used to Chelsea being so composed on the ball, but sort of every player that just can't get hold of it at the minute.
Well, I was about to say before I was rudely interrupted by a goal that you should keep your eyes peeled, because Chelsea started so quickly in the semi-final. Corner has been taken, sent back into midfield, where it's sent long and high by Torrejon towards the far post. It goes out of play and away for a goal. Kick away to our right hand side, but you can't help but feel sorry for Melanie Leupolz, whose own goal separates these two teams. Kirby kicking it against that, and the ball looping over the goalkeeper and into the net. And here come Barcelona again, overrun this time by Putellas, and it goes out of play and it's away for a goal kick away to our right. Farrell Williams.
I feel like Chelsea's game plans are, in terms of when it goes out of play, they want to try and play quickly. It's like as if they planned for Barcelona not to be ready and set And so they're trying to take everything quickly. I think now they've gone to go down within this first minute of the game. I think they need to settle the game. I think they need to take it and slow the game down a little bit, find their feet and work some possession.
Amraoui winning a header in the centre of the park. She went up with Pernilla Harder. Emma Hayes slightly disappointed by what happened in the first 5 minutes of this match, just trying to calm her team down. It's the second year running that they've claimed the title, Chelsea. They were awarded the title when the season was curtailed last season, but they showed their class this campaign. A season that contained a 33-game unbeaten run, a run of 1 defeat and 22, top scorers in the league, and they're on course to win all 4 major trophies. So that lack of composure in the first few seconds of this game, and it was first few seconds, we're only 6 minutes in, was a real surprise. But it's cost them dear, and they trail by 1-0 as a result of that. And after Carter trying to get the ball into the left full-back position, can't control it, it goes out of play, it's away for a throw-in. Hansen is in close proximity, so she goes back to Eriksson, who plays the ball from the left side up towards the halfway line. Amraoui nudges it down, it's collected by Torrejon, not the greatest clearance, and now Sam Kerr can pick it up on the halfway line, funnels it down the left looking for Harder. Across comes the challenge from Guiaro, who's playing as an emergency centre-half in the absence of Pereira, who was suspended for 2 bookable offences across the semi-finals. And it's cleared away. Barcelona have it on the far side. I think the key thing now is for Chelsea not to lose their composure any further, not to concede a second goal in quick succession. Try somehow to get a foothold in the game. G has it, taken it off Hermoso, played it wide to Leupolz. Now Kirby takes it in and then sends it back towards halfway. G, who's just drifted over towards that right hand side. Now Millie Bright has it, and Chelsea for the first time really just having a bit of controlled possession, Courtney.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, especially when you concede early, to trust in your process and what you're doing. Sometimes there's a tendency to change and play with more urgency, but I think that's almost Chelsea's problem for the first few minutes. It was so frantic, and now you see they're getting on the ball, they're passing the ball, putting some patterns together, and it looks a lot better.
Leupolz, little flick by Kerr on towards Pernilla Harder, tries to chip the keeper, doesn't quite get it right. I think there might have been a save in there from Panos, who came out and tried to smother. It was a good chance for Chelsea, and it was a very well worked move.
Yeah, that was beautiful build up from Chelsea. I think as you mentioned, they've started to get some composure, playing between the lines. There's a great flick here for Kerr. It puts Harder in behind. I feel she has to do better in that position, but I mean, it's a good block from the defender.
Torrejon got across, didn't she, to slide in and nudge it behind and away for Chelsea's second corner of the game, which Jess Carter will take over on the far side. Sends it long towards the far post. It's headed by Eriksson towards goal, but although she got up high, she never looked as if she was going to be able to push that on target.
No, and the ball is a bit loop really, so when it's like that you need to get the power on it, and it was just above her, whereas when it's driven you can sort of angle it, but that just wasn't the ball that came in. But I think Chelsea now, they're starting to find their feet within the game.
Given away by Panos, and Chelsea tried to capitalise on a quick turnover. This time Barcelona are able to clear. Picked up now by Ingle in midfield. It's missed by the left full-back Wahabi, and now Kirby's onto it in a flash. She tries to go down to the right edge of the area. It's just pushed back slightly by Puteas, who got back to double up with Wahabi on Fran Kirby. And Chelsea are pushed back into midfield. Just left of the centre circle is Carter. A little flick by Kerr doesn't quite come off. Torrejon tries to get it away. It's with Carter on halfway, and she goes all the way back to her goalkeeper. It remains Barcelona 1, Chelsea 0 in the Women's Champions League final in Gothenburg. And the goal coming, an own goal after 40 seconds of this game, in what was an absolutely frantic, erratic start to this showpiece event in Sweden. Leupolz trying to pinch the ball in midfield, and Kirby's nudged to the ground. Free kick is given in Chelsea's favour. The Women's Champions League is not exactly like the men's. Up until now there hasn't been a group stage. That is going to change from next season. It's been straight knockout rounds of home and away legs. Chelsea have beaten some of the well-known names of European football to be here. Benfica, Atletico Madrid, Wolfsburg, Bayern Munich. Barcelona have overcome PSV, Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City in the quarter-finals. Here's Leupolz, couldn't quite take it under control. He spilt the ball, and as a result Barcelona are able to tidy up in the left full-back position, and they've given the ball away cheaply.
Chelsea look to have settled now into the game. I think, after that first minute of madness in the game, I think that they've settled into the game. They're starting to create a little bit more, starting to feel more comfortable on the ball and putting Barcelona under a little bit more pressure.
Putellas plays the ball across the back line. It's picked up by Guiaro. This is Maria Leon, the heart of the defence. Plays it out wide to Wahabi, who grew up as a futsal player just outside Barcelona. He's a runner-up in 2019, part of the team that lost to Lyon in Budapest. One clipped high into the Chelsea half, but Jess Carter is underneath it. G sends it forward, picked up by Harder, couldn't get it under control, never looked set, tried to play it to Kirby, miskicked it, and she had the ball robbed.
And I think it's now interesting Barcelona's approach to this. We know that they can score goals, and here they are coming forward.
Hansen into the area, she's beaten Carter to the ball, she squared it back to the penalty spot, and Hermoso went to strike it and then lost her footing and has gone down, and a penalty has been awarded. Well, VAR will certainly look at it. Bastian Dankart, the German official, is in the VAR booth. Hermoso went down clutching the back of her ankle. The on-field referee, Reem Hussein, has given the penalty. Carter held off Hansen, then couldn't keep hold of the ball. Hansen squared it back to Hermoso on the penalty spot. And was there a foul? Well, certainly it looked like the back foot of Leupolz made contact. A penalty for you, Farah?
I mean, my initial thoughts was it's not a penalty, but when I'm looking at the replay here, you can see Leupolz's back foot catches her as the ball leaves her foot. So for me, it's a penalty if VAR look at it. But as I said, on the first look, I didn't think it was, but second look, I definitely think it's a penalty.
Well, it is a penalty, and Barcelona have the opportunity to take a 2-goal lead inside the first 15 minutes. VAR penalty check is ongoing. It has to be a clear and obvious error. I'm not entirely sure that our German referee sitting in the VAR booth is going to change this decision. As a result of that, Alexia Putellas, the 27-year-old captain of Barcelona, is going to have the opportunity to put Barcelona in a 2-goal lead. The check is over, the penalty has been given, and Chelsea are in a real spot of bother now. And Katharine Berger saved 2 penalties against Atletico Madrid in the last 16. They needed to come up with the goods again now. Putellas steps up, left-footed, straight down the middle, and Barcelona are into a 2-goal lead. And Chelsea's Champions League hopes have got off to the worst possible start. 2-0 down before the quarter-hour mark. It's Chelsea 0, Barcelona 2.
As cool as you like with the penalty, Alexa's just put it, the wrong side. Berger's gone the opposite way to where the ball's gone, but the composure for that penalty in a big moment, a fantastic finish. Just sort of sit nicely to the right-hand side of the keeper.
And it's interesting, we know that the Bergers can save penalties, so I would imagine that the Barcelona analysis will be looking at that and the sides that she saved penalties, and as forwards we look at that and look at keepers' stronger sides. And just going back to the point I was trying to make, I wondered if Barcelona would just settle a bit in possession rather than try and maybe go for the 2-0, but that's my question answered. And the only saving grace for Chelsea right now is there's only 15 minutes gone, so there is time.
And Luis Cortés, the head coach of Barcelona, was the assistant when they got to the final in 2019 to Fran Sanchez. He took the reins in January 2019. He's led them to the title twice. He could well be leading them to the Champions League as well, because this is a fantastic start for Barcelona. It's been an absolute nightmare for Chelsea. 2 goals in the first 15 minutes, an own goal from Leupolz followed up with a calamitous penalty award. Here's Kirby onto G as they look to respond. Kerr picks it up, looks for Harder at the back post, tries to get the header on target, but it's loopy once again, and it goes right over the top of the crossbar and lands on the roof of the net. Still 2-0 to Barcelona.
At least Chelsea are still creating chances, though. They're going forward. Obviously, first 15 minutes, they're very much shell-shocked, but they've got to keep going and try and get that equaliser as soon as possible, and also to get shots on goal just for a confidence sake as well.
I think what we know is that Chelsea have got goals in them. I think this game isn't over in terms of the final result. I just think they just need to settle a little bit. I think they've tried to overplay at times in their own half. I think they need to get the ball in the opposition half and play a little bit of territorial football for a little while. Get in behind that Barcelona back four and really try and get some shots away.
I mean, they started the game like this was the football equivalent of 2020, trying to get everything done in the first sort of 15 minutes, didn't they? And as a result, they've been punished. And it's 2-0 to Barcelona. You can usually trust Chelsea to score 120 goals across all competitions this campaign, and the clinical killers Kirby and Kerr have scored 52 of them, and Chelsea have scored in each of their last 67 matches. It's not over yet.
There's plenty of goals on the pitch, but also on the bench you've got the likes of Erin Cuthbert and Beth England as well that you can potentially bring on. So Chelsea will, be less confident than they were at the start of the 90, but confident they can still go out and score goals.
Well, they're 2-0 down to Barcelona here. Here is Ingle stroking the ball out to Jess Carter. Carter overruns the ball under pressure from Hansen, and it goes straight out of play. It's away for a throw-in to Barcelona. Caroline Graham Hansen, who is a well-known Norwegian international, trying to do something that she couldn't do with Wolfsburg, which was win the Women's Champions League. She lost to Lyon twice in the final in 2017 and 18 whilst at Wolfsburg. And she's already played a part in helping Barcelona in getting 2-0 up in this game. 18 minutes gone. You're listening to Talk Sport. Sam Matterface, Courtney Sweetenkirk and Farrell Williams in the commentary booth as we watch pictures from Gothenburg, where Chelsea are taking on Barcelona in the UEFA Women's Champions League final, and Emma Hayes is stalking her technical area.
I'm fascinated to know what's going on in her head now and how she's going to regroup this Chelsea team. I mean, as I mentioned, they've got goals in them. Hopefully if they get one back before the half, Emma will have something up her sleeve to get this team back in the game.
A foul throw by Maria Torrejon, former captain of the Spanish women's team. Maria Torrejon. Hermoso trying to hold the ball up. This gives it straight back to Sam Kerr, who gets fouled by Torrejon, and that's going to be a free kick on the left side of the Barcelona half. G has left it. Jessica Carter is going to take this free kick. Kerr is lining up on the edge of the penalty area. Bright is there, so is Magdalena Eriksson. Lilla Harder makes a run towards the near post. It's aimed towards her, just over her head, runs through all the way to Kerr. Kerr is in an offside position when she returns the ball, and it's going to be a free kick on the left-hand side. It was a bit of a waste of a set piece, really, Farah.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think, the same with the corner before. I think these floated aerial balls and, for attackers to attack them is quite difficult. You want the ball to come in with a bit of pace, and then any sort of touch on it can cause all kinds of problems. I think, normally Ji So-young is normally the player that takes set pieces, and they've got Jess Carter on them, and at the minute she's just floating them into areas, and they're not really causing Barcelona any problems.
Jess Carter's an interesting selection over the last few weeks. She's certainly come into her own and started to play more games, and played too many matches before the last month of the season. Yeah,
so maybe that's what in Emma Hayes thinking. She's in form in the last few games, and also she's quite fresh, and with the amount of games that Chelsea have played this season, maybe that is something that is into Emma Hayes thinking, but a penny for her thoughts at the moment.
Well, we heard all the stories in the build-up to this game about how Chelsea is one club and how it's taken incredibly seriously by the hierarchy, and I think Claire Rafferty said it in one of our packages about how it's not just a token gesture, the funding of the women's football team, but here comes another chance for Barcelona, and opportunities around the goalkeeper, and it's in from Bon Marti, given away by Chelsea, and this game is being given away by Chelsea. Barcelona are crushing Chelsea's Champions League dream. 20 minutes on the clock. It's 3-0 to Barcelona, and Chelsea are all over the place, and they are being picked apart.
And Berger there, you can see there's a bit of an inquiry going on now, but good leadership from her. She's getting the players in, and they're obviously trying to resolve the issue. I don't know whether Barcelona may have targeted that left-hand side. It's where the ball comes from again. And Niamh Charles, when I played with her at Liverpool, she was actually a winger rather than a full-back, and I think she's done fantastic in that position this season, but I think she's just getting undone slightly. And then the ball that comes into the box, for me, this tackle is not good enough. When the ball comes in, it's Jess Carter, and I know she's in the penalty box, but you've got to do better there, and Berger's coming out to try and do her best, but it's a lovely, slotted, calm finish.
I think Hermoso for Barcelona is causing Chelsea's two centre-halves all kinds of problems. I think the fact that she plays that false nine role and likes to come in pockets, I think, in terms of the goal there, Eriksen's gone in with her and left a gaping hole between herself and the full-back, and then the midfield's run right in between them. So it's difficult at the moment for Chelsea. I think they need to get to grips with Hermoso and the movement that she's providing at the moment.
12th goal of the season for Aitana Bonmati. He's only 5'4", but she slipped into position perfectly, and when Jess Carter slid in for the tackle, it just seemed to break for her nicely. She took it into the box, finished past Anne-Catherine Berger, and it's 3-0 to Barcelona before we've even got a quarter of the game done. I mean, it's an absolute mountain for Chelsea to climb now.
I mean, I'm struggling to find ways of how Chelsea are going to get themselves back into the game. As I mentioned, the good thing about Chelsea is that they have goals within them, but three goals down, within 20 minutes, and this Barcelona team can also score. It's going to be interesting this next 70 minutes.
This Barcelona team scored 125 goals in La Liga this season. They've only conceded 5, Courtney.
Yeah, so you'd think that their goal-scoring exploits aren't finished, but if Chelsea have got any chance in this game, they can't concede anymore, and they've got to go and find 4 goals, as you say, against a side that's only conceded 5 goals in their respective league this season. It is a big ask now, and it's sometimes as a player you're lost on the pitch, and I think this is what the Chelsea players look like now. They look lost and they don't know where to go.
Here is Kirby down the right for Chelsea, trying to just get them on the front foot. Chelsea have had 4 attempts on goal, none on target. Barcelona 5 attempts, 3 on target, and they've scored 3 goals. G trying to get around Hamraoui, given away, taken on halfway up to the Chelsea half by Putellas, who slides it back into midfield and gives it straight to Sam Kerr. It's on to Pernilla Harder, who's on to the edge of the D, tries to get a shot away, but Barcelona have got numbers back, and it's blocked and spilt out towards the right full-back position, where Barcelona are able to clear. It's Barcelona 3, Chelsea 0. You're listening to TalkSport and the Women's Champions League final, and here's England's most capped player, Farrah Williams.
These transitions for Chelsea, so when the ball turns over, and Chelsea are normally so dominant on the counter-attack, and they attack with numbers and they attack with pace, in these transitions they don't seem to have any bodies that are running forward. They've got Sam Kerr up there, and you've probably got Harder or Kirby picking the balls up in transition in pockets, but no runners in advance. So Barcelona at the minute are really comfortable as a back line.
Bright in the centre circle, slips it forward to G. G turns, lots of space for her, but she plays an early ball towards the edge of the box. It's spooned up into the air. Not the best of clearances by Guayaro. It's Panos who comes out, the goalkeeper, and grabs it from the sky when it's loose in the box, and Barcelona have it back again. It's difficult, isn't it, to try and find a way of Chelsea looking for a pathway back into the game. I suppose that, what's the advice? Just get on the scoreboard?
It's going back to basics almost, and sticking to the process and the game plan, and that's a difficult thing to say when you're 3-0 down, but that's Chelsea, why they've been successful is what they need to stick to doing. But I agree with Farrah in terms of they're not getting numbers forward now. Is that because they're panicking? They don't want to concede another goal? We've just seen Emma Hayes there telling her players to get forward, and also it's just a little half a yard, but the passes going forward, they're almost a little bit behind players, not in front, and we normally used to see them so crisp and clinical, and we're just not seeing that at the moment.
Niamh Charles, who's playing as a right back tonight, has had to play at left back. She's played at right back. She was relegated with Liverpool. You were in the team with her. She was a forward player, really. She's had to adapt her game this season.
Yeah, she's had to adapt, and on the whole, when I've seen her, I think she's been fantastic. And it's just, but this is the biggest stage. But it's something that Emma Hayes did with Beth England. I believe they were playing a slightly different formation at the time, and when they were playing wing backs. But she had Beth England playing as a wing back for a certain amount of time as well. So it's probably part of Neve's development. And as I say, she's on the whole done really well this season, but this is a Barcelona team that's not lost in the league this season, so this is as tough as it gets for Niamh Charles at the moment.
It's as tough as it gets for Chelsea. They're 3-0 down, 25 minutes gone. Could be a long night, this. Ball sent to the left-hand side by Barcelona. They're in possession by the touchline, midway inside their own half. Chelsea trying to press and cause problems, and they have caused a little problem here for Maria Leon, who just overhit her pass. It's been given back to Sophie Ingle, who's rushed her ball into centre field. There was a clutch of pink shirts there, and Barcelona have won it and taken it out towards this near side. Collected now by Hansen. Ball back infield, where it's picked up by Guerriara. And Barcelona can quite comfortably not force the issue now, knowing they've got a 3-goal cushion. And games management-wise, I mean, it's very difficult to find an argument of the way that Barcelona throw this one away, Farah, from this sort of distance out. I mean, having a 3-goal advantage in a Champions League final is no mean feat.
This is, as you mentioned, this suits Barcelona to a T. I think, they're a possession-based team, very comfortable with high-intensity pressing against them. And, being 3 goals up, if Chelsea aren't going to come out and really try and nick the ball high up, then this is a comfortable game, and Chelsea are going to really suffer for the next 60 odd minutes.
Hamraoui charges forward, steps into midfield and tries to get over the halfway line, plays it down the right, cross comes in, takes a deflection off Carter, and it's away for another corner for Barcelona, their second of the game. They lead by 3-0 on Talk Sport in the final in Gothenburg, and Maria Leon and Carolina Graham Hansen just having a discussion about who's going to take this corner kick. And it's going to be Maria Leon who places the ball down the edge of the quadrant. There's 5 pink shirts at the back post, 1 at the near post. Chelsea need to be on their mettle here, and Berger comes out, doesn't get much on it, but just enough to take it away from the clutch of players. It breaks to the left, it's back in towards the near post, and this time Anne-Catherine Berger can grab the ball and pull it into her chest before clearing away, and it remains 3-0.
Yeah, and the problem Chelsea have got now is they need to push forward and get a goal invariably. They're going to leave even more gaps for Barcelona to exploit, so that is an absolutely massive worry there. And just interestingly, the psychology of the Chelsea team, I mean, I can't remember in recent years them being 3-0 down at any point, so this is new territory for them.
It does like that happens very often to Emma Hayes' team. But they find themselves 3-0 down here. 29 minutes on the clock. Roman Abramovich is actually here in the stadium tonight, watching in Gothenburg in person.
I think that shows where the club is, Abramovich being there supporting on the women's team. I think it just shows how together Chelsea are as a club, and they see it all as one.
Ingle up to halfway. On the left is Carter, 10 yards inside the Barcelona half, back into Leupolz, who probably is still dizzied by that own goal scored in the first 40 seconds of the game, which really set the tone for what has been a calamitous first 45 minutes for Chelsea. Ingle forward towards the figure of Kirby, but it was overhit and eaten up by the Barcelona centre-halves. Here's Mertens over on the far side, hit the crossbar within 26 seconds of this game. Now running at Millie Bright, gets on the outside, tries to turn back again under pressure from Charles, and then it goes back into midfield, and Putellas, who scored from the penalty spot, is on the ball again. Leupolz goes across, ball goes out of play, and Luis Cortés, the head coach of Barcelona, just with a few wise words. Chelsea warming up some substitutes. Wouldn't be too surprised if there were one or two changes in the offing at the break. Chelsea will need to turn the tide.
Yeah, they're going to need to make changes, and as a player on the bench as well, if you're seeing your team lose 3-0, you're itching to get on. So, you know, they might have something in their head, creating their own sort of Istanbul-esque comeback. That's what you dream about coming on. But yeah, there'll definitely need to be changes, because we're just seeing a Chelsea side that we don't normally see, trying to shell balls long rather than play through the thirds. And I think they're just so shell-shocked about what's going on. They've lost their purpose.
Carter under pressure, gets it back to Berger. G is out-muscled in midfield. The ball breaks 10 yards outside the box. Mateus tries to get a shot in, turns, fires it goalwards, and it is just narrowly wide by Mateus. Just got away from Leupolz once again, turned into space. No one really went to close her down. And that will be disappointing for Emma Hayes. 3-0.
I think Chelsea are struggling with the movement of Barcelona. I think the movement with the front two, in terms of the one that drops in as a false nine and comes in pockets, and then the players that get in advance. I think Chelsea in possession of the ball. I think they're trying to get Frank Kirby and Ji So-young in pockets. The problem is you haven't got anybody stretching that Barcelona back line to open those pockets up for those players to get on the ball. So they need somebody that's going to be willing to run in behind, try and stretch this Barcelona back four, so that they can find those creative players in the middle of the park.
Who is that person?
Who is the person to stretch? It has to, I mean, Sam Kerr can't do it on their own. I think people, you know, could it be harder? I think if Ji So-young and Kirby are the two players they want to get in those pockets and are more creative, I think Harder's got to get up higher with Kerr and start working those two centre halves and trying to get them to drop off a little bit.
I think for me, you could bring Beth England on to do that and change her for Harder. She will run all day for you and has got the pace and the power to get in behind and stretch back line. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her coming on.
There will be a change that Emma Hayes makes at half-time. I doubt that she's the kind of head coach who feels that keeping things the same is going to lead to any real change. Chelsea shell-shocked. It's Chelsea 0, Barcelona 3 in the UEFA Women's Champions League final. Live on TalkSport in Gothenburg tonight. And Catherine Berger, the Chelsea goalkeeper, plays it out to G in the centre of midfield. Her hair tied back with a little small band. She thrusts it into Eriksson, who gives the ball away, and Barcelona have it again. And Chelsea's lack of composure, lack of ball retention has been stark in the opening 33 minutes.
Yeah, I think especially with G, she's normally such a fantastic and composed player, and I think I've seen her give the ball away at least in the first 10 minutes more than I have in most games. And this is where you need a player, a leader to step up, not necessarily the captain, but a player to really take something by the scruff of the neck, and whether that's a big tackle or just doing the basics well, then that can emanate through the team. But at the moment, Chelsea just don't have that.
TalkSport on a Sunday evening. The Sunday evening that we were hoping was going to be one to cherish for women's football in England and for Chelsea in particular, but at the moment it very much looks as if Barcelona are going to destroy that dream. Here is Carter, near side, just in front of the halfway line, guides it all the way back to Berger. Berger slides it out to Eriksson. In midfield is G, just short of the centre circle. A long ball forward for Kirby to chase. Goalkeeper's come a long way, and Kerr just tried to lift it over her, but didn't quite have the poise to be able to bring it down or trouble the goalkeeper Panos, whose mere presence probably did just about enough.
I think that's the movement that I'm asking for from Sam Kerr. You know, running in between the centre halves, a long direct ball. She's got the beating of them in terms of her pace, and then it's just the execution. The keeper's off the line. I think that was a comfortable enough chance for Kerr to at least hit the target.
Yeah, Kerr, who when she first came to England had a touch of the Timo Werner's, didn't she? She was missing chances all over the place. Certainly put that right this season. I suppose Chelsea will be hoping that Timo Werner does that for the men's team as well.
Let's hope so, being a Chelsea fan. The disappointment of yesterday, the chances that Werner had in that FA Cup final, yeah. Let's hope he does that next year.
You've not recovered yet, no?
I haven't. Can you not hear it in the voice?
I wonder how long it's going to take Chelsea fans to recover from this one. 3-0 down against Barcelona. And Barcelona coming forward again. Strength and power into the edge of the box. And here's Hansen to finish it off. And Chelsea are being battered by Barcelona in the Champions League final. A tap-in from 4 yards out. And Caroline Graham Hansen, who's missed out so often in the Champions League final, has scored Barcelona's 4th goal of this game and of this half. It's Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4. Chelsea are being thrashed.
Yeah, and I spoke about this earlier, about the predicament they have in terms of going forward, and we see that there Barcelona do so well on the counter. It's down that left-hand side again, and Niamh Charles just gets beat far too easily there. But it's a great run by Martins, and then puts it on an absolute plate, and it's just far too easy for Barcelona.
Yeah, and Emma's done a homework on Barcelona, which I know, knowing Emma and the tactician that she is, doing these cutbacks and wide area for Barcelona is what they're known for, and this is where a majority of their goals come from. For me, it's too easy down this right-hand side with Charles. If I was at Emma Hayes in this position now, I think you have to make some changes. I know it's really early on in the game, but this is only going to get worse if they don't start to tighten up that back four and make a change. I think Anderson, for me, I would bring her on at left back. I'd put Jess Carter over at the right, and I'd take Charles off.
Talking about Jonna Andersson, who started the first leg with Bayern and has not been selected tonight. It has been a chastening 37 minutes for Chelsea. Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4. And this could end up being one of the biggest defeats they've suffered in the Champions League since they began to qualify. Heartbreak at the hands of Wolfsburg previously, heartbreak in games in this competition in semi-finals, a first ever Champions League final, and it is not going according to plan. And Sophie Ingle has just gone in late on Hamraoui.
I think Chelsea need, they've got to understand how to game manage now. I think they need to be a little bit more streetwise. I think for me, if I was in this position now and I was on the team, I'd be telling my goalkeeper to go down. I'd be getting a water break. I'd be going over to the manager and just trying to get some tactics, try and get some information on that's going to help them settle, or at least see them through to half-time without conceding another goal.
Kira Hamraoui, who's just been fouled by Sophie Ingle, came through the Clairefontaine Academy. She's twice a Champions League winner with Lyon without getting on the pitch. In fact, she's qualified for 5 Champions League finals, never played in one until today. She has now.
No, it was a naughty tackle there from Ingle. I've just looked at the replay there, and it was just over the top of the ball. So I thought the referee was going to VAR to change the yellow to red.
Well, it's interesting because she was sent off after 13 minutes of the last 16 game against Atletico Madrid, and Chelsea had to show real character to get through that game. The last thing they need now after going 4-0 down is to lose a player.
Yeah, I think you've seen in Sophie Ingle there a bit of frustration, but as Farah said, now it needs someone to manage the game, and whether that be Berger going down or getting some information on, but they've certainly got to manage these last 7 or 8 minutes to at least get through to half-time. And unfortunately now Chelsea at a point where it's about playing for pride and not conceding any more goals rather than going for the win, and that'll be a hard mindset for Emma and her players to take, but that's unfortunately the position that they're in now.
Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4. Well, miracles do happen. If Barcelona can score 4 in 36 minutes, then Chelsea will believe they can too. But it's going to need a massive change of emphasis and momentum. They've completely lost their composure, and everything we saw in that final game against Reading on the last day of the WSL season, all that we saw in the game against... Sorry, Farah.
You're right there, Dan. Rubbing it in a little bit.
Everyone was very nice to you that day, I thought. All that we saw with the Bayern Munich second leg, I mean, it all seems to have just gone out the window, right from the very off.
It does. As Courtney mentioned before, I've never seen this Chelsea team turn the ball over so many times in such bad areas.
And Carter wrestling with Hansen down the right side, gave the ball away and then was struggling to get back. She's won the free kick, but I think the referee was actually being rather generous to her, because there was a moment there where I thought she was going to give away another penalty. Clumsy and very, very dangerous a challenge in the box on Caroline Graham-Hansen, Courtney.
Yeah, it's sort of though a challenge that she had to make, but the way that Barcelona play, it's just carbon copies, getting down the sides, getting to the byline and getting those balls in, and it's just so strange to see Chelsea like this.
Pernilla Harder down the left side, played in by Leupolz, tries to shoot in towards the near post, and Chelsea have finally had a shot on target. It was saved down low to her right by Paños. Sandra Paños reacting to that effort from Pernilla Harder. The first time that Chelsea have really tested her in the game so far. It's a good piece of play as well by Chelsea, playing through the middle of the pitch all the way up towards the edge of the penalty area, where Leupolz rolled the ball into Harder, and her shot stopped by the Spanish goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's the first time we've seen Harder in the game since that chance she had within the first 2 minutes. So you need to get players like that in the game more. I think you've just seen there she's attacked the fullback and took a shot at goal. Yes, there was Sam Kerr and Kirby in the box, so she could have crossed it. But she's starting to create something. I think if you can get her on the ball a little bit higher up, she might be able to show us what she's worth.
Kirby, far side for Chelsea, who have been stunned by the brute force of Barcelona, the ruthlessness of Barcelona, but also their own profligacy and clumsiness, giving away early goals, missing chances that maybe they should have done better with, but then compounding all of that by being so scrappy, giving the ball away so much. They've invited Barcelona to take a hefty lead. It's an invitation that the La Liga winners were not going to turn down. And the geezer who does the engraving on the trophy has got his little needle out, and he's already got halfway through Barcelona. We've got 3 minutes before half-time. Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4.
And Chelsea need this half-time break. I think, going in at half-time, I think Emma needs to have a think about what her centre-halves are doing. I think her centre-halves are causing their own full-backs all kinds of problems. I think Hermoso's movement, she's given that false line role where she's able to float anywhere along, into pockets, out into wide areas, and centre-halves are following her, which is, then the shape of the back four is all disjointed. I think Emma Hayes needs to organise that at half-time to get any sort of structure enabled to them to go forward.
I think we saw it with one of the earlier chances as well, where one of the Barcelona players managed to get the ball, have 3 touches and turn with 4 Chelsea players around her, and I think the defenders are, as Farah said, really struggling whether to stick or twist, and sometimes you've just got to hold your position and let the play go in front of you. But I think Barcelona's movement is so good that they're maybe worried and they're going with the player, but it's pulling them in all sorts of positions and causing them more harm than good.
Emma Hayes has got the biggest team talk of her life about to come. If anyone can deliver one, it's her. How she turns the tide in this game is another matter. If Chelsea can get one back before half-time, all hope that has been lost might be reignited with a little glimmer, maybe nothing more than that. But her foul over on the far side on Alexia Putellas has been punished, and the free kick has been given to Barcelona 90 seconds before the half-time break. 4 goals already for Barcelona. They lead by 4 goals to 0. Leupolz with an own goal after 40 seconds. A Putellas penalty after 14 minutes. Bonmati 7 minutes after that, and then Hansen 9 minutes before the break. I mean, you couldn't have dreamt up a more nightmarish scenario for Chelsea, really. Here on the right side is Jenny Hermoso, taking the ball past Carter, and then under pressure from Harder, gives it away. Chelsea try to release Harder down the left through Kerr. Kerr then is surrounded, but Chelsea managed to retain possession. Again, Leupolz just a little bit heavy with the ball back to G, and Bright has it 10 yards short of the halfway line in the centre for Chelsea. Eriksson takes it forward. It's wrapped into Leupolz, who receives it, plays it out wide. Halfway line is Carter. Back into centre field once again. Striding forward, Eriksson with the ball at her feet and room to run into. Needs a bit of movement in front of her, and no one really is showing for her. Harder has now sprinted into the left channel. She's got the ball and tries to take on Amraoui. Now she's by the corner flag, backing away. Finds Leupolz. Back infield, midway inside the Barcelona half. Chelsea having a bit of possession here. Can they create something before the break? G into Kirby, and Kirby is fouled. And that's going to be a free kick given away by Guhara.
It's a good position for Chelsea on the edge of the box here to at least try and get one back before the half. Central position, a couple of players within the team that can strike from distance. So we'll either see G or I would have said harder, but it looks like Ericsson is taking responsibility to step up and take this.
And the good news for Chelsea is there's only 2 minutes of added time at the end of this rather disastrous first 45.
Yeah, although it'll probably seem like 20. When you're 4-0 down, 2 minutes, definitely doesn't feel great.
And these players aren't really used to this. They've only lost twice all season in all competitions.
Exactly. So the psychology behind football is massive, and momentum, and to be in this position, it's uncharted territory for them. So how they react will be very interesting.
G hits it right-footed towards the far corner. It went over the wall but straight into the gloves of the goalkeeper, Sandra Panos, who basically took 3 steps to her left and just caught the ball at the near post.
I'm trying to work out what she was trying to do here. She was going for pace. I think she's hit it, hasn't got anything behind it, and as you mentioned, a comfortable save for the keeper.
Panos has just kicked the ball out of play, looks to the heavens and screams as if that was a mistake. She probably can afford to make a couple of mistakes to the situation that her teammates have put her in with this unbelievable cushion for a Champions League final. Kirby on the edge of the box, floating one into an area more than anything else. It's half cleared by Maria Leon. Torrejon gives the ball away. Kirby's got it back again. This is Carter. 30 seconds of added time still to play at the end of the first half. It's Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4. Kirby pressing, G up there, given away by Barcelona, and Chelsea have got it back with Millie Bright in the centre circle. Is there one last attack at the end of this first half for Chelsea? Kerr receives the ball, it bounces off her, and then she commits a foul on Lika Martins, and it's going to be a free kick. She walks away, she shakes her head, and that's been the body language of the first half, Farrah Williams.
I think they look really frustrated. I mean, the half-time whistle was just gone, and Chelsea players, you can see a couple of them jogging in. I think they'd be relieved to go in at 4-0, and this team talk, as you mentioned before, for Emma Hayes is going to be a real important one.
Well, if Chelsea win this Champions League final, it will be a miracle to end all miracles, a comeback to end all comebacks. It is the most calamitous first 45 minutes of a Champions League final ever. Barcelona 4, Chelsea 0. Gura Reiten is coming on for Leupolz in the centre of midfield, so that's one change for Chelsea. Whether or not it's the only change, we will have to wait and see. They're in a huddle away to our left-hand side. Doesn't look like any other changes in personnel. You've called for last season's top scorer to be involved. What will she add?
She'll add a dynamism going forward, and she's, for want of a better phrase, a bit of a ratter. She gets round people, she can put a challenge in, but also has got that knack of finding balls going forward and also making those runs to push people back. So it'll be very interesting now to see if that sort of works, and then if not, I would probably look at bringing Beth England on as well within that forward line. But hopefully for a Chelsea perspective, Brighton does change that.
Just about to get underway in the second half. No changes for Barcelona at the start of the second 45, as you would expect after a comprehensive performance in that first half of the game. And it is worth pointing out that they are an incredibly good team, but Chelsea froze from the minute that the whistle was blown and found themselves in a frantic, erratic first 5 minutes where they lost control of the football match very early and never really managed to recover that, and as a result they find themselves in this situation. And even when they did, at 2-0 down, start to build a little bit, it wasn't too long before they gave away another opportunity to this ruthless Barcelona team. It's 4-0 to Barcelona. The second half has started in Gothenburg. Chelsea in blue shirts, blue shorts with thick yellow trim, shooting from left to right in this second half. Barcelona in pink shirts and turquoise shorts from right to left. Here's Kirby into the box, looking for Kerr with a glancing header towards the far post. Not enough power in that, and it's gloved by the goalkeeper, Sandra Panos. Here's Farrah Williams.
Yeah, it's a positive start for Chelsea, getting the ball down the right-hand side with Charles driving at the full-back, giving it to Fran Kirby and getting a cross in. I think, as I mentioned, the crosses need more pace on it to give Sam Kerr any chance of getting it a ball on target that might beat the keeper.
Well, it is a cutthroat mentality at Chelsea. with the men's team and the women's team. Emma Hayes hasn't been afraid to use players, then move them on to better, more established, expensively acquired talent to get Chelsea to where they want to be. Chelsea spent a lot of money on the likes of Kerr and Pernilla Harder in order to force their way into this sort of position, the Champions League finals. But where they dominate in the WSL, Courtney, in Europe they found it a lot harder to really impose themselves on matches.
Yeah, I mean, we look back to the Wolfsburg game, the Bayern game, over the two legs, and at times they struggled but got through it. And, you know, maybe, and me included, thought this might be their year because they've rode their luck at times, but it just shows that, again, absolutely dominating a WSL, but need to step up when it comes to Europe's best.
Charles into the box, low ball into the near post this time. Maria Lyon is there to nudge it behind and away for the first corner of the second half, and it's gone Chelsea's way. Farrah Williams.
Emma seems to have made changes, not so much in terms of the formation, but getting Charles higher up and really trying to get this ball out to this right hand side and overloading wide areas, which they've been so dominant at in the WSL this season.
Corner to be taken by Guro right on this near side, left footed. It's a better delivery towards the far post, looking for Millie Bright, sort of turned her back on it actually, and it flicked through the area. Eriksson's got it back by the corner flag, placed it against Martins, another corner.
Yeah, much better delivery from Wright, and I think that, you know, a bit more pace on it, as I mentioned before, allows an attacker to get better contact and certainly put the keeper under a bit of pressure. They've got another corner, hopefully they whip it in again with a bit of pace. Barcelona
semi-finalists in 2020, they were finalists in 2019. Only 4 players that started that final were not at the club anymore. This is a battle-hardened group. In towards the near post it goes. Won by Pernilla Harder, back out to G. It wasn't the best of corners this time from Chelsea. They didn't work it particularly well. Carter forward into Ingle. Ingle looks up. There's 4 players queuing up on the far side, the left, and they're in now. Millie Bright sent it into a crowded area. There's a nudge in the back. There could be a penalty here. No. And Eriksson, after going down, is told free kick the other way.
I'm not sure that was a dive. She's literally took a shoulder and an elbow in the back.
That's a foul.
Surely VAR's got to look at that as a clear, because that is a clear and obvious error. The referee can see that very blatantly, that she's been shoulder barged from the back, but doesn't look like it's going to be looked at by VAR.
I hate comparing the men and the women's game, but if this is the men's game, that's getting checked by VAR for a possible penalty, and it will probably be given. I mean, she shoved her in the back, no attempt to win the ball, and for me it's a penalty.
Well, the VAR is a man, Bastian Dankert, and you would have expected anybody, male or female, to have had a look at that and thought, hold on a second, that looks more of a foul than a dive. How on earth the free kick has gone the other way is quite surprising, really.
I think it's a chance.
Chelsea in the box. Here's Kirby, right-footed on the edge of the area. It's blocked by Maria Lyon and then shoveled away. Comes back via Bright. They're about 20 yards outside the box. It's floated forward. Not the best of deliveries. That's not the best of clearances either. It's skewed up into the air. Ingle's going to win this just outside the area. Has to be a little bit careful. She's on a yellow card, and it's cleared forward over the halfway line. And Anne-Catherine Berger will deal with it. Let's go through the 2-11s. Berger is the Chelsea goalkeeper. The right back is Charles. Then it's Bright, Eriksson and Carter. Ingle, Wrighton and G in midfield, with Kirby, Harder and Kerr up front. Panos is the Barcelona goalkeeper, but Chelsea are on the attack and trying to test her now. Pernilla Harder trying to get in behind, just didn't have the pace to get away from the defence, and Torrejon, who's at right back, will clear. Hamraoui, Maria Lyon, Wahabi, back 4, Bonmati, Guhara, Putelos in midfield, Graham Hansen and Hermoso on Lika Martins up front. Ball into the box, Kerr stretches, can't reach it. Courtney Swinton.
Yeah, it's so close, and she's trying to do everything. She's straining every sinew to get to it, but it's just overhead, and it's very interesting. Niamh Charles has just nearly got on the end of it because she's nearly backed that up. And as far as I said, I don't think they've overly changed the formation, but maybe keeping Jess Carter back more, so it's almost like a 3 at times, and Niamh Charles has almost got that sort of Cancelo roaming role, and I expect obviously on the transition defending they'll want her to get back, but she's definitely a lot higher in this second half.
Yeah, she just intercepted a ball which was cleared by Panos, a goal kick which we didn't really get the distance on it, and she came across, blocked it, goes out of play eventually after Chelsea failed to wrestle back possession. It's away for a throw on this near side. 50 minutes play, Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4 in the Women's Champions League final of 2021 in Gothenburg. And we talk so much about Chelsea's prowess in front of goal, but Barcelona are this season's top scorers in the Champions League, and we saw in that first half exactly why. 128 goals this season in the league alone. And another 4 tonight.
And a question before the game whether, the Spanish league was as competitive as the WSL, would there be that many goals from them within this game? But they proved that, regardless what we think of their league, in terms of them as a team and how dominant they are, they're able to score against any opposition.
Kerr, played down the left channel by Kirby, into the box, low cross, which is blocked by Maria Leon. And before it can reach Pernilla Harder, who was lurking in the centre of the Barcelona penalty area, and it's cleared away over on the far side. Eriksson comes out of the middle of defence, tries to clear the ball, and Barcelona win it back. Carter covering, is able to see it all the way back to the goalkeeper at half-time. I was sent a screenshot of a famous Newcastle-Arsenal game by our TalkSport Drive presenter Adrian Durham. It finished 4-4 after I think Newcastle were down 4-0 at half-time. He said, you never know.
You never know.
It could happen.
It would be fantastic. I think 52 minutes now we're on, so if that is to happen, Chelsea need to score pretty sharpish, and just for that sake of confidence as well. But it sounds like it is a football cliche. Emma Hayes will probably be saying, don't lose this half, go in the mindset it's 0-0 and go and at least win this half, try and get a goal.
And I think they've come out and trying to do that. I think they've started the second half on the front foot, and they've played most of this, and be it only 8 minutes of the second half, but they've played it inside the Barcelona half, and that's the difference between the first half and this half. Let's just hope they can get a clear chance at goal and pull one back.
Carter for Chelsea, deep inside her own territory, looks up into Ingle, who's just on the edge of the centre circle, gets it back to Carter, and then across the back four all the way to the goalkeeper, and Chelsea look to build once again. We played 8 minutes of the second half. Carter thrusts it forward. Across comes Amraoui. He's just dropped a little bit deeper in this second half. We'll just kind of keep tabs on Pernilla Harder, who was acquired last year from Wolfsburg for £300,000. She was a runner-up last season in the Champions League final, and in 2018 she's admitted herself that it's taken a little bit of a period of adaptation to get used to English football. Right, and trying to get down that left-hand side. Just wonder whether or not the way that Chelsea have configured their formation has changed a little bit here, Farrow, with Wrighton operating almost on the left and Kirby sort of moving into a more central position.
Yeah, in the first half they didn't have a natural left-sided player out there, and so it was really narrow and really compact in terms of when they had possession of the ball. I think we've seen Jess Carter stand a little bit further back, allowing Wrighton that space out on the left, and we've seen, as you mentioned before, on the right-hand side, the fullback Charles is a lot higher up. I think it's working better for Chelsea in terms of dominating possession in the opposition half.
55 gone. A lot was made of the progress that Chelsea have made off the field as a club, structuring the way that they organise themselves, being part of the same setup as the men in Cobham, the wonderful training ground that Chelsea have, the facilities that all the teams are able to use now. But Barcelona are a club that have pushed on as well. We haven't missed a year, said Vicky Losada in the build-up to this game. They have a mix of acquired talent themselves and those that they've developed through their ranks, their academy, and they aim to play a style befitting that of their club. And this is a win befitting the name Barcelona. Should it stay like this? It's 4-0. Ingle sweeps it wide. Wrighton back to Carter, who looks for Harder. G tries to just nudge it on into the path of Harder, just a little bit inaccurate with her ball, and then as Bright heads it clear, it's half returned by Barcelona before Pucheas is dispossessed by Bright once again, and Chelsea have it on halfway. Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4.
Now it's the point where Chelsea have got the possession and it looked comfortable, but they've got to do something with it. They're still not clinical enough in the final third for me, and there's still half chances rather than something clear cut that you're thinking, yeah, they definitely should have scored there.
Jess Carter gets nutmegged over on the far side, then uses a bit of brute strength to hold off Hansen. Free kick given. And we haven't seen too much of replays of the penalty shout that Chelsea had, but we have seen a replay of an incident involving Sophie Ingle, who's already been booked, committing a foul in the middle of the park. She hasn't got too much more leeway there.
She has to be careful. There's been a few since the booking she's got away with. I wouldn't say they're worthy of a yellow card, but they're persistent, and so the referee will be, certainly have a number in the eye line, and so a couple more we could see her leave the pitch.
Careering forward, Barcelona come up the pitch, away by Eriksson. It's going to drop on the edge of the box. It's away by Ingle, picked up by Charles. Neve Charles now trying to get up to the halfway line, which she was held up by Lika Martens. Infield to G now on to Kirby. Harder's made a run. Charles has gone in towards that right side, didn't release the ball quick enough. They went back to Bright instead. Now they've switched to play Chelsea to the left, and Carter trying to charge down the touchline. Hansen is going with her. She brushes her aside, then tries to play it round the corner, but Torrejon will get there, and it's tied up neatly by Barcelona. Here's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Yeah, it's actually a good run by Jess Carter there, but just runs out of steam at the end. And when I compare her to Neve Charles at the other side of the fullbacks, that's probably not her strength. So she probably wanted someone show inside for her, so she could play the ball off rather than try and keep running to the byline.
Kirby on the right side, chance to cross towards the far post. Oh, it goes past Kerr through the 6-yard box and out the other side. Brighton's got it again, trying to keep it in play, but the offside flag is already up. Wouldn't have counted anyway. Farrell Williams.
It wouldn't have, but it's better from Chelsea trying to get players in behind that Barcelona back four. The difference in Barcelona's back line in terms of how connected they are compared to how Chelsea were in conceding their goals. I mean, you've just seen it there. The centre half is in a great position to be able to get connection on the ball to clear it.
Well, we're just about to hit the hour mark. If Chelsea were going to get back into this game, it needed to be probably before now.
Most definitely, but they're certainly knocking on the door in terms of the possession and trying to get into wide areas and get balls across the box. I mean, as you mentioned, they need a goal pretty soon if they're going to get four back. But they're certainly growing into the game, and they're certainly making a better account of themselves.
Here is Kirby down the right side. Into the box she goes, almost comes through to Harder. Half clearance and a really decent effort in the end to get it away by Maria Leon. Up to Pucheles, then Hermoso, out to the wide right position, another chance here. Bright goes across. There was no suggestion of a penalty there, just a stumble I think by Alexia Pucheles, and it's cleared away by Chelsea. Kerr stumbling as she tries to glance the ball on. Maria Leon, Guajara. Barcelona are comfortable in possession again. How much damage does this do to Chelsea's progress? So much has been made. I mean, all the stories have been so positive today about the development of the club. No one could have envisaged this sort of performance and scoreline.
No, I think all three of us are very surprised, and I think some of it is the fact that they're probably having a little bit of an off day.
Hansen into the box. Oh, it's juggled by the goalkeeper, spilt it into a dangerous area. And luckily for Chelsea, there was nobody in pink there really to come across and finish the chance. And Chelsea again just showing a little bit of vulnerability, as they've shown ever since the first minute of the game.
But yeah, going back to that, the first goal was extremely unlucky. Then you're in a position where you're in a Champions League final if you conceded after 40 seconds. And as I say, I think in the first 5 or 10 minutes I saw G give the ball away more than I've ever seen her give the ball away in any game. So then you're at a point where you're very under the caution and not knowing what to do, and we've not seen the best of Chelsea today, and some of that is them and it's sort of self-inflicted, but some of that is because of how good Barcelona is. And if anything, to spin a negative into a positive, it shows them how far they've got to go. And I think to go forward, Emma Hayes is probably the best manager in the women's English game to do that, to be able to say, right, well, this is where we're at, we'll take stock, and next year we're going to go forward, implement X, Y and Z, and we're going to go and win it.
Well, Barcelona can empathise with Chelsea. They were 4-0 down to Lyon in the Champions League final. It wasn't in the first half, but they certainly were well beaten by Lyon on the night. And Chelsea now find themselves in a familiar situation. Another change to be made, this time by Barcelona. And Caroline Graham-Hansen is replaced by Mariona Caldente. Three-time winner of the league in Spain. She's in her 7th year with Barcelona. Caldente scored against Manchester City in the quarter-finals. It's an ominous sight for Chelsea. She'll come and play in the same position as Hansen in the on the right side of the Barcelona attack. Here come Barcelona coming forward with Torrejon. Back infield it goes to Bonmati, also on the score sheet tonight. Caldente's first touch not particularly crisp, and as a result of that loses the ball. Carter wins it back left edge of the Chelsea penalty area, and it's fired up to Kerr. Comes straight back after a challenge from Maria Leon and all the way back to the goalkeeper. Chelsea need to make another couple of changes to rev it up. I mean, they've got changes available to them.
Yeah, they've got changes available. As I said before, Erin Cuthbert is a player that I probably look at, and also, you know, Beth England. She's maybe been struggling for confidence, but we know what a fantastic player she is, and she scores goals. So I think that the sort of tweaking formation has probably done more than not necessarily bringing Wright on, as she's played quite well. But the formation for me is the big thing. But as time goes on, I think you have to make changes.
Chelsea fighting to win the ball back inside their own half. It breaks on this near side to Niamh Charles. She guides it back towards Millie Bright. Well, if there is a comeback today, then it would be apt that Niamh Charles is involved in it. She was talking in the build-up to this game about her love of football being forged on that crazy night in Istanbul. She was only 5 at the time when Liverpool came back from 3-0 down. Well, she needs to write her own football history now. G, on to Kirby. Can't help it on. Pernilla Harder has peeled off towards the right-hand side. G eventually finds her. Right angle of the penalty area. Chelsea coming forward. Kirby inside the box. Doesn't get the break that they required. And as Kerr goes up, the header is flicked away by Guijarro and then cleared by Barcelona.
I mean, a lot said about Barca and how good they are in possession of the ball. But what's impressed me most about this game is actually when they lose possession of the ball, and if they can't get bodies round it early, how quickly they get back into a shape and find themselves hard to break down. Chelsea are finding it really difficult to break this Barcelona team down. And, you know, a Barcelona team that are renowned for being in possession of the ball are actually very organised and disciplined out of possession.
That's the key thing about, your Pep teams, isn't it? And certainly, although they're not coached in exactly the same way, the ethos that runs through the club is that you very quickly try to win the ball back as soon as you've lost it, and what they do is they flex back into such a great shape that before Chelsea can get high up the pitch, there's so many numbers back.
Yeah,
and they're committing people forward here, and Hermoso has been sent down the left-hand side trying to get her goal now. And she drives the ball into the near post. She, of course, is going for the outright golden boot in this competition with Fran Kirby. They're both on 6.
But yeah, going back to them defensively, what I'm impressed about is the transition and managing the moment in the game. So when they lose possession and it's close, they'll go and press. But actually, then when they know that they're not close enough, they won't pull themselves out of position. And especially that back four, they're very tight. The shape is really good. They're not pulled out. There's not one person stepping out and ruining the shape. And they're managing each transition, each moment of the game very well, because it's how well they read the game.
And also looking at the near post, the cross comes in, takes a deflection, and it goes out for another corner to Barcelona. Hasn't been too many of those tonight. Just their third of the game. We played 21 minutes of the second half. Chelsea up against it. It's a very long way back. A glum situation for all involved, and it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Emma Hayes to come out and articulate exactly how she's feeling after this. She'll be hoping that Chelsea can just show some signs of life in this second half. There's 25 minutes to go. Corner from Maria Leon of Barcelona. Over on the far side, there's 5 waiting in the 6-yard box. It's aimed towards Hermoso, who rises but can't really connect, and it's glanced well wide.
Going back to your point about Emma in her interview after the game, I think, firstly she'd be disappointed with her Chelsea team's level of qualities in that first half, and I think she'll be honest with the players and with us after, and say that's, it was those moments that, lost the game for them.
Charles trying to put pressure on and was fouled before the ball ran away from her, so Chelsea have a free kick in what is a dangerous area. They need to make the most of this now.
Yeah, these are golden opportunities for Chelsea to get the ball in a dangerous area. But going back to Emma and what she's going to say as well, she's got a big job to pick these players up going forward, and especially losing to sort of this magnitude, it will be a big hangover that won't just last a few days. This could, emanate into next season. So to get them in the right place is going to be a big ask.
There's space for Charles down the right side. Wrighton's got the free kick 10 yards outside the box. She's floated it towards the far post. It's a header straight on target from Pernilla Harder, but it doesn't test the goalkeeper enough. She just drops to the right in her bright orange jersey and clutches the ball down by the grass at the foot of the post.
I mean, it's a really good set piece again from Wrighton. I think we mentioned a corner with a bit of pace. This one was dinked in. I think Harder had more time than she thought, and I think with the pace of the ball she needed to bring it down, and then maybe took a shot. She tried to take the header on. It was comfortable for the keeper.
Ingles just vacated her position in midfield, and as a result was a big hole. Barcelona have got into it, and they're moving the ball forward at speed. Pacheas on the edge of the penalty area, sends it wide to the right. Caldente back to Pacheas. Ingles got back into position now and just shuffled the Barcelona attack out to the right side. Amraoui turning the ball out towards the near side, overhit it, and as a result Wahhabi can't keep it in, and then she kicked the ball away, and that's going to be a yellow card for her, an unnecessary one. Not that she'll worry about that. She's more interested in the cards of congratulations that she's probably going to receive tomorrow.
I think we saw there from Chelsea, though, they've forced a mistake because they look so much more solid as a unit, and it's big to work together as a unit, because for me in the first half they looked like 4 individuals working on completely separate pages, whereas now they're definitely more solid and working together, so they can then force that error from Barcelona.
Charles showing her ability to run with the ball, then running into Amraoui, exchanges passes with Hermoso. Lika Martins picks it up, darts infield from the left touchline into the middle of the Chelsea half, swirls the ball out towards the far side. Caldente gets beyond Jess Carter, and then Carter dives in. Good tackle initially. Caldente retains her upright position and wins the ball back, and then it's given away to Wrighton. Wrighton can't escape, and Jess Carter takes over. It's clipped over the head, and then Pernilla Harder is fouled by Hamraoui. It's a free kick to Chelsea. And they have got a little bit more steel about them and more resilience about them in this second half, but there's going to be more changes from Barcelona, and that could spell more problems.
Yeah, I mean, Asisat Shawala looks to be coming on. She's a player that I played with at Liverpool. I mean, the pace that she carries in behind, I wouldn't say her finishing in front of goal. She probably 1 to 4 chances that she'll score, but certainly she'll start running this Chelsea back line, and I think that's what Barcelona need in this second half.
Asisat Shawala also won the FA Cup with Arsenal, didn't she? Here is Pernilla Harder inside the area. Kerr with a header, looping the ball goalwards. And that was a catalogue of errors, really. Kirby squared the ball to the edge of the area. Charles tried to hit it, didn't quite catch it. Then Kerr didn't get it right. There was a mistake inside the box by Harder. And in the end, really, let's be completely honest, Chelsea fudged 2 or 3 situations to get on the score sheet, Courtney.
Yeah, I think that little passage of play there just pretty much sums up Chelsea's night. But for me, I think Frank Kirby can either play that first time for Kerr running, or at least take a touch and get it closer to the byline to square it, because in that position there, pulling it back, it's a lot more of a difficult finish.
Jenny Mosso is replaced, and so is Alexia Pacheas. Vicky Losada, long-serving midfield player, is coming on. And Oshuala, as we've already mentioned, has entered the fray. appears as if Barcelona now are just going through the motions to ensure that they get over the line in this game. Losada, who very much a part of Barcelona for many years, had a couple of spells away from the club, but basically has been involved with them since she was a kid, and a few spells in New York. Went to Arsenal for a season. She's in her third spell now with Barcelona. She actually beaten Chelsea in an FA Cup final before. That was in 2016.
I played with Vicky Losada at Arsenal. You mentioned that FA Cup final. One of the most technically gifted players I've played with. I mean, the ability she has on the ball is second to none. She's an unbelievable player. Sometimes overplays, sometimes complicates the game a little bit with the amount of touches she has. But an exciting player and a joy to play with. I mean, I'm happy for her to have come on in this game. This game will mean everything to her coming on.
You played with everyone, haven't you?
I have, haven't I? Showing my age. And showing how many teams I've been to.
I didn't want to say anything. More clubs than Tiger Woods. Barcelona have the ball deep inside their own half. It's cleared high up towards the halfway line before running out of play over on the far side in front of Emma Hayes, who's going to make two changes now. Beth England is about to come on. Erin Cuthbert is coming on as well. It's going to be very difficult for them to turn the tide. But Sam Kerr is coming off. Mistake?
For me, I would have took Ingle off for Cuthbert, and I'd have took Harder off for Beth England. I think you'd have had more of an impact in terms of doing that. I think, Kerr seemed to be the only player for Chelsea that was prepared to run and play on the shoulder of the centre halves. I didn't think she got the service that she's normally used to. But in a game where you need to get a goal, I would have kept her on the pitch.
Cuthbert on, G off, Kerr off, and Beth England on. And Chelsea need 4 goals in 17 minutes.
And Barca got what, 4 in 20?
4 in 36.
4 in 36, or 3 in 20 then, was it?
3 in 21, yeah.
Oh, there we are.
So the chances are slim. Oshuola trying to beat the offside trap. Carter scrambling back. Oshuola's going forward. Tackle comes in from Niamh Charles, and she seems to have come from a difficult position to win that. It was a good tackle in the end.
Yeah, brilliant tackle from Niamh Charles, and considering she's had a bit of a difficult evening, and that's a difficult position there in the penalty box coming from behind, she's done really, really well.
Come from the wrong side, just managed to get her foot in front of Oshuola and nudged it back to her goalkeeper. It remains Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4, and a dreary night for Chelsea in Gothenburg in the Champions League final. Here's Lika Martins, who started the proceedings with a crashing shot against the crossbar in the first 25 seconds of the game. Since then, since that moment where intent was laid bare by Barcelona, Chelsea have been on the back foot, rattled and at times ragged, especially in that first half. In the second half they've been a little bit more solid, look more composed. Half of that is probably going to be that Barcelona know that they've got the game won and they don't need to do anything stupid. Open up, try to go for more goals and allow Chelsea to edge their way back into the game. And the other half is just a reconstruction at half-time by Emma Hayes. But there will be an inquest, there's no doubt about that, and I think Faye was talking about the half-time team talk, what would be said. I mean, those of us who have spent time in Emma Hayes' company know that we can't really repeat what we think was probably said at half-time. Let's just say blue is the colour.
There'll be no holding back from Emma at the end of the game. I think, as I mentioned, she's honest. She'll be honest with her players. She'll be honest with her reflections of the game. She'll know, in moments there were things that Chelsea didn't get right, and she'll reflect on that and come back stronger next year.
Charles, infield to Sophie Ingle. Ingle, square, on to Eriksson, Ben Royton. Royton over on that far side, gets it back to Eriksson, and then Carter finds Millie Bright on the halfway line. Nowhere really to go for Chelsea. The ball played down the right for Charles to sprint afterwards. She's not going to reach that. And Mika Martins just ensuring that it goes back out and away for a goal kick away to our right hand side. 14 minutes to go. Barcelona about to lift the Champions League for the first time in history. And looking at Emma, you can't help but feel a little bit sorry for her. She's just rubbing her temple now, trying to think of a way out of this situation. I don't imagine that she has ever found herself in a more difficult situation since becoming the Chelsea manager. I think they actually when she first got the job, she had a really tough period, losing I think 11 of the first 15 games, but she had a plan going forward to change the club, to make it more professional. Very quickly success followed, and Chelsea have gone on from there. But in this era, the second era, the third era, whatever it is, the incarnations of the teams that she's built, dismantled, added to, constructed, I don't think it's felt like this before.
No, definitely not. And she's got this team used to winning, and she's got them, she's got them resilient. And I think, in the first half they showed that, their vulnerabilities in terms of, it being a big occasion. There's no crowd. We didn't expect these Chelsea players to be as nervous as they started the game. Those first 5 minutes were important to how the game was going to go. And so, as I mentioned, she'll be disappointed with the way that the game started for her. Barcelona have been in this position before in terms of being in the Champions League final, and they were able to manage those, difficult moments better than Chelsea have.
Do you think that Chelsea deserve credit for the way they played in the second half, Courtney?
Yeah, they have tweaked it. That's obviously to do with Emma, and just in terms of individuals, there's been less mistakes, but I do think some of that is to do with Barcelona and probably just taking the gas off the pedal ever so slightly. But I think now for Chelsea, this is the benchmark. They've seen it, and that's what Emma Hayes, I imagine, will be telling her players, and already probably thinking in her head about the processes of how they do bridge the gap.
It's hard, isn't it? Because you don't come up against Barcelona very often. This is the first ever competitive meeting between these two. They did meet in a friendly at Kings Meadow in April 2018. A game they drew. Karen Carney scored a late equaliser after Barbara had put the visitors ahead moments beforehand.
We've always spoke about Barcelona, and teams that have played them in the WSL in friendly matches, about how well they are at possessing the ball, but they don't have a goal scorer. They've been clinical in front of goal today. With chances that were gifted to them for Chelsea, they were able to convert, and that's been the difference. Chelsea in front of goal today haven't been great.
11 minutes to go. And it's TalkSport on a Sunday evening, watching Chelsea in the Women's Champions League final. An achievement that they got to the Women's Champions League final for the first time that shouldn't be underestimated. A real feather in Emma Hayes' cap. It just doesn't feel like that when you're 4-0 down in the final. And when you're 4-0 down in the final after 36 minutes, it feels even worse. Ball is on the right, given away by Barcelona. Cuthbert tries to nudge it forward. It's collected in midfield by Bonatti. Out to the right, Caldente. And now Barcelona on the attack again. Ingles swipes at the ball, and it goes straight behind and away for a corner kick over on the far side. It's still 4-0.
I was saying, I think going forward, Chelsea need to use this as their fuel, and it's been very, very uncomfortable at times, but you don't always grow in your comfort zone, so it won't feel like it right now. Or would they have loved to have gone and won it? Yes, but maybe going forward for the long-term sustainability of Chelsea, maybe it's one of the best things that might ever happen to them.
Corner kick to Barcelona over on the far side. Maria Leon's going to take it. Amraoui goes towards the near post. It's a high looped effort towards the far stick. It's headed back across the face of goal, smashed away by Pernilla Harder, and then picked up on this near side. There's a foul and a free kick on Marta Torrejon. I think Sophie Ingle was involved in that. If that is the case, she's going to be very fortunate to still remain on this pitch by the time we get to 90 minutes. I know that wasn't really a bookable offence, but as we've already mentioned, it's the tossing up procedure which is now becoming a bit of a problem for her.
Yeah, and Sophie's in there to make these challenges, and when you've been on a yellow card for as long as you have, and you're persistent in your fouling, you're treading eggshells for most of the game. I think that's why I mentioned, Sophie would have been the replacement I thought Emma would have made in bringing Cuthbert on and taking her off, just because she's on that yellow card. You don't want to be playing at 4-0 down the last 10 minutes with 10 men.
It's quite a deflating experience, isn't it, when you've built yourself up to come and see Chelsea lift the Champions League and to find them 4-0 down with 9 minutes to go and defending. Good job you haven't got training tomorrow.
I know, exactly. That's why I retired from football.
Courtney?
No, last game today, so thankfully no training.
Went to extra time though, so...
Yeah, so I'll probably be in
stretching.
bed, not being able to move very well in the morning.
Well, you came close to knocking out Tottenham, didn't you?
Yeah, very close, but I think, that's the fine margins in football and between the Championship and the WSL, but, we gave them a good go for the majority of the game, and I think if we did come away with the win, we wouldn't have, looked out of place or been begrudged for that.
Of course, that FA Cup continues with Chelsea against Everton next weekend. We've got more live football for you throughout this week. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday and Sunday as the playoffs get into full swing. We've got loads of Premier League commentaries as well on Tuesday and Wednesday night. I'll be at Brighton on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock kickoff against Manchester City. Whilst on Wednesday night, I'm off to Burnley against Liverpool, 8:15 kickoff as Liverpool try to get themselves into the Champions League. And of course, it all seems a lot more real now after Alisson scored that goal.
A wonder goal. Any striker would have been proud of. Courtney herself would have been proud of that one.
Definitely.
Yeah, and as a Chelsea fan, the last thing you want is Liverpool finding form at this stage of the season.
Exactly that. Chelsea have a big game against Leicester in a few days' time, and hopefully they can get the 3 points needed to make fourth spot a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, indeed. That's on Tuesday night. Leicester will have other ideas. Liverpool will have other ideas as well. They take on Burnley 8:15 live on TalkSport on Wednesday night. 4-0 to Barcelona. 7 minutes to go. TalkSport, Sam Matterface, Farrah Williams and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk bringing you the Champions League final. Chelsea on the push. Right, and goes down inside the area. Claims for a penalty waved away. Breaks to Niamh Charles on the right side of the box. Comes back into the crowded penalty area. It's easily dealt with by Guhara and cleared towards the halfway line, and really pass selection has also been a little bit off tonight. Yeah,
it was a bit of a waste there from Niamh Charles. I think it was Fran Kirby who was doing the run on the outside, and she probably would have been better served to maybe trial and back heel it to her. But yeah, in general, we've just not seen the Chelsea that we used to seeing with the crisp passing and clinical.
Harder from distance, shooting towards goal, ripples the top of the net, and didn't really give Sandra Paños in the Barcelona goal too much trouble. It was always just a little bit too high. Beth England did well to sort of hold the ball up by using her strength, backing into the central defender to make the opportunity for Harder.
Yeah, she's done well. She's not really been in much of the game or had a lot to do since she's come on, Beth, but I think, as a player in that position who had such a fantastic season last season and hasn't played so much this season, she'll want to come on with a point to prove and try and get a goal for a team, and it won't mean much in the state of the game, but it will personally for her and look better on the scoreline too.
Cuthbert, edge of the area, trying to get a shot away, blocked and cleared out towards the far side by Guhara, and it's out for another throw into Chelsea. Have had lots of opportunities in this second half but haven't really tested Paños in the goal. 14 shots on goal over the course of the 90 minutes, but no real efforts on target. Ball in by Wrighton, lovely bit of skill to get over the defender, crosses the ball in towards Beth England, but she can't get it under control really before she tries to steer it goalwards, and it's over the top and out for a goal kick away to our right hand side. Well, Chelsea have bounced back from any defeats that they've suffered over the course of the season. They lost to Brighton earlier in the campaign with a really weakened team, and they stepped up, demolished Arsenal in their very next game, only conceded once in the next 7 matches. But this is a stinger. This is going to really hurt, and it's going to be a test of Emma Hayes' powers of motivation, education, and team management to get them back and focused again.
Yeah, this is going to be a real hard defeat for them. I think it's going to hurt for a while. As you mentioned, they've still got, an FA Cup game after this to play. I think, it's been a long season for everybody. And I'm sure, Emma's going to... She'll be able to work her magic in terms of regrouping her players for the final FA Cup game. But it's going to be difficult. Players are going to switch off now. They're going to be disappointed. They're going to be upset. It's been, as I mentioned, a long, hard season for them.
Here is Cuthbert exchanging passes with Beth England. Then she gets tied in a bit of a knot. Can't get it out of her feet. Barcelona bring it away. That's been the tale of the evening so far. Chelsea have just got to within shooting distance of that penalty area, but never really carved open clear-cut opportunities. And when they haven't been able to take them.
Yeah, and I think it's always been a case of a half a yard. I think the balls have never just been quite in front of the players so they can take it in the path. They've always maybe been stretching or reaching and just not been able to take the ball as they'd like and get a clear-cut shot on goal.
Header by Cuthbert is a good one. It comes to Ingle, who swipes from distance, and it's 30 yards from goal when she tried to catch it. And it's an easy stop for Sandra Panos, and they'll all start thinking now, these Barcelona players, about their celebrations. They've got 8 games to go in La Liga. They've already won it. I imagine that a few of these players will have a couple of days off after this.
I mean, I think they'll be celebrating hard tonight with this victory. I think this is the one, trophy that they've wanted to win. They've tasted disappointment in the cup final a couple of years ago, and so they'll be happy tonight and they'll go and celebrate, and rightly so.
I saw on Twitter after their league win, after 26 wins, that they had a big pool party for that, so I'm sure they'll find a way to celebrate tonight.
Oh. Well, that sounds like fun. Although I think I've had too many of the biscuits that Farah bought with her to be...
You're not quite beach ready yet, Sam?
Going to pool parties, I'm afraid. No, I haven't been beach ready for about 23 years.
I'm not going to comment.
All right.
Not on you, I'm on about myself.
Ball played out towards this left-hand side. Lika Martins is leading a late Barcelona charge. She moves towards the edge of the area, shoots into the body of Bright, and it's cleared away by the goalkeeper and Catherine Berger, who was a runner-up with PSG in this competition, and she's going to be a runner-up with Chelsea as well. She's going to be a runner-up having conceded 4 goals, and there wasn't too much she could do about the first effort, the penalty from Pucheas, or even the efforts from Hansen and Bonmati in that first half. A first half blitz from Barcelona which took this game away from Chelsea and gives Barcelona reason to celebrate. And they will finish with the joint top scorer in the competition. In Jenny Hermoso. Fran Kirby, it will be scant consolation for her that she also managed to register 6 goals in this top level elite competition. But on the night that it really mattered, Chelsea faltered and Barcelona were brutal. That first 36 minutes was dizzying. It unsettled Chelsea. They lost their faculties. They collapsed. And it's been very difficult to get back into the game. Oshala trying to outrun Carter down the right-hand side. There's space in the centre for Martins if they want to use her, but Oshala, after being held up by Carter, couldn't square it.
No, and that's the strength of Oshala's, getting in behind the defenders with their strength and pace. But yeah, most of the time, she doesn't tend to hit the target from those chances.
Barcelona have struggled against English opponents. They've only ever won once against an English team before tonight. That was Manchester City. They haven't struggled this evening.
No, they've definitely not struggled tonight. I think, as I say, we've maybe spoke about Chelsea and their weaknesses and the way that they faltered, but that first half performance from Barcelona was absolutely electric. They're at it from the first 10 seconds, and the way that they moved the ball about was brilliant.
Offside flag has stayed down. Oshuala is going into the centre. She takes the ball, turns the defender, shoots. She's hit the target now. It's 5-0. And that's the icing on the cake for Barcelona. a 5-star show against Chelsea in the Champions League final.
Or is it?
Or is it? VAR will look at it. Has the offside flag gone up late? Looks very much to me as if the initial cross from Vicky Losada came after she had run into an offside position. The flag stayed down. VAR chalks it off.
That would have been my 1 in 4 chances. I said when Australia was coming on that she scores normally on the 4th, and that would have been it.
Yeah. Not that we were going to rub it into you.
The betters out there, the betting people, I wouldn't know anything about it, but yeah, normally 1 in 4.
I think after what you tipped up to all your mates earlier on, no one's following your betting tips again.
No, they're definitely not.
What was your big tip for the night?
For Chelsea to win. It was actually a Chelsea double from yesterday and today, but yeah.
How did that work out?
We won't talk about that.
Not very well. You've got to feel for her there, though, and the same with Chilwell yesterday. VAR, I'm so glad that it's not in place in the WSL and the Championship at the moment, because I could not think of anything worse of thinking you've scored one of the biggest goal in your careers for it then to get chalked off.
There's the full-time whistle. Chelsea's first Women's Champions League final ends in a damaging defeat. 2 cup finals, 2 losses in 1 weekend, but Barcelona's experience and quality shine through as they become the latest team to lift the Women's Champions League. It is their first, but you get the feeling it won't be their last. This was a game that was won within the first 36 minutes. An own goal from Leupolz after 40 seconds set the tone. Chelsea collapsed soon after. A penalty which Patrius couldn't help but put away. Then goals from Bonmati and Hansen sealed it for Barcelona, who have beaten Emma Hayes' Chelsea with consummate ease. Chelsea 0, Barcelona 4.